All right, hello everybody, and welcome to another Green Square Talks Battlebots prediction podcast. So I bring you fight card number 12, where I'll be sharing my predictions and discussing the match, as I usually do. So we're getting into fight number fours for a lot of these robots. We got one matchup that features the last two main competition robots who have yet to have their third fight, and a matchup between two alternates. It's always fun seeing those robots, and I'm really glad BattleBots included them, and not just included them, but the fact that they're getting some fights too, getting some action. Because yeah, we've seen some pretty good action from lots of those alternates. But yeah, before I start talking about the fight card, if you like what you see, like and subscribe as usual, and comment down below your predictions as usual. Always love hearing what everyone has to say about the fight card and who everyone else will thinks would win. Yeah, we got three matchups on this fight card that I'm really looking forward to, or three of the fights that really got my attention when I saw that those matchups were going to be happening, or partway in the season, and ended up being something I was really looking forward to. And two other matchups on here also kind of got my attention too that I think will be great fights. I think this is going to be an action-packed fight card, and I can't wait to talk about it. Let's get started with this. Okay, so leading it off, Lockjaw and Mad Catter. So I think both these robots are in a good place, and I think regardless of win or loss, I think both these robots are gonna make bracket. They're both currently sitting at 2-1. They've had a pretty good strength of schedule and pretty good quality performance this season. Lockjaw started the season off with a win over Malice, then took a loss to Sawblaze, then managed to pull off a win against Glitch. Mad Catter, on the other hand, started off with a victory over Whiplash, then took a loss to Riptide, then got another victory over Big Dill. So I think both of these robots are in a really good spot right now. So I think this fight is more of going to be a battle for seeding right there. Because, like I said, I'm pretty confident both robots are going to make bracket. And so I think whoever wins this is just going to have like a much better spot on the bracket seating wise. So yeah, as for this one, this is a tough one to call because we got two very talented drivers and then two of the more powerful vertical spinners in the competition here. And I'm going to lean towards Mad Catter on this fight because like I think these two are pretty equal regarding weapon power. I'd probably say Lockjaw edges out ground game a little bit, but my reason why I'm going Mad Catter here is reliability. Like for the past few seasons, Lockjaws have been having problems with their weapon speed controllers, basically, and we've seen that in even their previous few matchups. That's my big concern for this matchup for Lockjaw, and that's why I'm going Mad Catter on this one. Mad Catter has been pretty consistent for the most part when it comes to their reliability, and definitely proved in that fight against Big Dill that that thing can take damage and keep on rolling and keep on functioning real well. Because that's exactly what we saw in that matchup with Big Dill right there. We got to see 3 minutes of action right there, and I bet we're going to see a lot of that in this fight with Lockjaw and Mad Catter as well. But yeah, what I'm kind of seeing here based on what I'm talking about is I think Lockjaw might have the start of this match because, like I said, I do think Lockjaw is the lower to the ground robot between the two of them. But I think Mad Catter's going to eventually take over in this match. That's kind of how I see this one kind of going down. Unless if Calvin Eba can manage to get to the sides of Lockjaw and possibly pluck some wheels off, which I think is very possible. But Lockjaw has done a phenomenal job, like of keeping those wheels hidden from his opponents, basically. Like, keep him out of his opponent's reach. Because I think the only robot that's really taken advantage of exposed wheels, at least that much, was really Hyper. Well, not exactly. That's not true what I was about to say. I was about to say Hypershock was the only one that's really taken advantage of that, but Copperhead kind of did as well, and Ribot really did when they fought Lockjaw last season. But yeah, I think Mad Catter's either going to win by getting the wheels of Lockjaw, or Lockjaw reliability problems are going to hurt them once again in this fight. So yeah, I got Mad Catter on this one, but I'm very confident that both robots are going to make bracket. I think this is going to be a very entertaining showdown between these two, a great one to lead it off, and yeah, two robots with high potential to take home the giant nut. All right, fight number two, Gruff and Malice. So this is an interesting one. We got some must-win situations here from at least one of these robots. Gruff is definitely in a must-win situation here. Currently sitting at 1-2. Started off the season with a win against Ripperoni, but then two losses then right off the bat right there to Quantum and Witch Doctor. Two very difficult matchups for a robot like Gruff. They're up against Malice, one of my favorites out there. They're the horizontal drum spinner, and Malice is currently sitting at a 2-1 record. Probably not the best 2-1 record. I think Lockjaw and Mad Catter have a better 2-1 resume than Malice here. Because Malice started off with a loss to Lockjaw, and then managed to get two victories over Emulsifier and Valkyrie. Yeah, and yeah, I don't think I think Malice probably is good to make bracket, but I'm a little more nervous about Malice making it in at a 2-2 record if they were to lose this fight than like Lockjaw or Mad Catter being at 2-2. Just because I feel their quality of matchups so far, I feel their quality of performance in their matchups so far just hasn't been there so far, at least. Like they looked pretty good in the Lockjaw fight. That was a quality loss. They looked all right in the Valkyrie fight, but the Emulsifier fight was kind of a mess at least. But a win's a win though. Like definitely like Malice is deserving of that 2-1 record. Don't get me wrong on that. So as for this one, I'm betting Malice is probably gonna go with Forks once again for this one, just to try to get underneath Gruff, cause and try to hit them up in the air kind of if you get what I'm talking about. And Gruff's probably going to be trying to I think Gruff's big shot is going to be trying to outlast Malice, basically. Like, try to send that robot right into the weapon of Malice, slow it down, maybe get the flamethrower involved, see if they could torch something on the internal side of Malice. Something like that, basically. Yeah, like, I think that's probably Gruff's big shot at winning this is outlasting Malice, because yeah. Or causing something to go wrong in Malice internal wise, because Malice is well known for having reliability problems in the past. And yeah, well, their reliability did look pretty good for the most part in their previous few matchups. It's still one to watch out for because Ruff is an absolute tank. But yeah, as for this one, I think as long as Malice is working at 100%, I think Malice is gonna dominate this fight. Hey, right there. I think Gruff's just I think I am probably gonna predict a judge's decision here because Gruff definitely is a tank, and I think Malice has a little less of an effective weapon compared to like what Quantum and Witch Doctor had when they knocked out Gruff this season so far. I think Gruff's gonna be able to take the impacts and be able to go the full 3 minutes. And it's with Malice, but I think just based on lots of the advantages that spinners have, and the fact that I think Malice is going to control the brunt of this match, is why I have Malice on top in this one. Okay, fight number 3. Uh, we got Doomba versus Dragon King. So this is the battle between alternates, and I gotta say I'm really looking forward to this one because we got Dragon King on one side. That's gonna be this is gonna be awesome. I can't wait to see this fight. Right there. So yeah. So as for this one, Doomba's had one fight this year where they lost a double tap in very quick fashion. We haven't seen Dragon King yet, but they're owned by Team Scorpios basically, but driven by a different team member. So yeah, so I don't think there's really going to be much configuration wise to really expect from either of these two robots. So I know Doomba actually did a video on their YouTube channel recently, and I highly recommend checking it out because they got some really humorous videos in there, whether it's their preview of a matchup or test videos. Lots of fun stuff. It's a really fun robot, regardless. So yeah. As for my predictions here, in heart, I want Doomba to win this one, but sadly, I think Dragon King is gonna take this one. Uh, basically, like I don't, I'm not really sure how much I think Doomba's big shot at winning this one is gonna be use the Smee type undercutter that they have right there because it's literally an undercutter the same design as Smee's horizontal spinners to slice up the treads. But then Dragon King, if they get up close and personal, they could do a lot to that top of Doomba right there, and that's kind of my big concern for this matchup right there. So Yeah, I think Dragon King is gonna take this one. But I don't want to underestimate Doomba because maybe Doomba will do something with the top of that chainsaw, with the chainsaw up top, or the undercutter or something like that. But I gotta lean in favor of Dragon King for this one, just because I think they're gonna be able to more effectively use those two weapons to control the match. But I hope we'll get a good fight out of these two robots either way. Interesting that we get to see it in the fight number 3 slot and not the fight number 6 slot like the last few. That makes me think this fight's gonna have quite a bit of potential, which I hope that happens because I love both these robots. So, yeah, let's move on. Midway Major, and lots of you have been talking about this matchup in the comments section. Claw Viper and Hypershock, which is happening in the next episode. So, yeah, this one I'm really looking forward to this one. We got the two fastest robots in the field. We got Hypershock, who came out of nowhere last season, like blew through so many opponents in the Golden Bolt tourney, and then Claw Viper, where they just came out of nowhere this season, currently undefeated 3-0 with victories over Ominous, Ribot, and Overhaul. Hypershock probably in a must-win situation. They're currently sitting at 1-2 with losses to Sawblaze and Endgame, but they did get a victory over Whiplash. So Hypershock has had a high strength of schedule this season. So even if they lose this fight, I still wouldn't count them out towards making bracket, just because it has shown quite a bit of potential at least. So, yeah, as for this one, my prediction in heart, I want to see Claw Viper go 4-0 because I so badly want to see a control bot go undefeated in the qualifying round, which even if Claw Viper doesn't win this one, it's still possible because Quantum still has yet to have their fourth matchup. But yeah, I in heart I really want Claw Viper to win this one, but I am going to be going Hypershock on this fight. So how I think this is gonna how I think I, basically I think whoever wins this fight is going to be whoever controls the pace of the fight better. Because the big advantage these two robots have had that have gotten them so many victories in the past, at least, has been the speed of their robot. Basically, with the speed of using their robot's speed, they've been able to maintain the pace of the fight, control the pace of the match, and just their opponents just end up having a hard time just keeping up with them. That's how Hypershock managed to go on such a great run last season in the Golden Bolt tourney, and that's how Claw Vipers won their first 3 fights so far. So I think whoever does that better is gonna have the slight edge. But other reasons why I have Hypershock on this one, like Hypershock is the biggest spinner that Claw Viper has fought this season. Like I think damage could definitely go in Hypershock's favor if Hypershock starts landing shots with that vertical spinner. Even if they're in the upside down position, they're still dangerous and definitely capable of doing some vicious damage on Claw Viper. Claw Viper did take the hits well when they took shots from Ominous and Ribot's weapons, but Hypershock is probably on a. I think Hypershock has a bigger weapon than what those two had when they fought Claw Viper. So I think Claw Viper's a lot more susceptible to damage against this spinner bot than they have in their other two battles with spinners. And then a point that actually Kyle from Hypershock brought up in the UDA Discord server. Basically, Claw Viper has that new like safety strap, basically, or whatever you want to call it. It that kind of puts their grabber at like a stop in the upwards position, which is why they've been able to hold their opponent in the air or like that rather than like suplexing them, like what we saw them do to a few robots last season. Is it possible that if they get flipped over, there are questions on whether they can self-right effectively, basically? I think they definitely can, and just, like I think they definitely can, at least based on the design, but that's something that I'm keeping in mind at least. Like it's not the main reason why I'm going to Hypershock here, but it is a kind of a question that I do have for this matchup now after seeing he brought that up in that Discord server. So, uh, yeah. So, yeah, I think that'll probably end my discussion for this one. I have Hypershock winning this one. I'm probably gonna predict by knockout on this one, but I really want to see Claw Viper win this fight, though, and I absolutely understand why lots of you think Claw Viper will take this one, and why lots of you have been looking forward to this fight. Because, like, I'm personally looking forward to this one, too. This fight is definitely in the midway major spot for a reason, and this should be awesome. Alright, next up, free shipping in Big Deal, and this is one that I think is going to end up being a pretty good fight, at least. So basically, we get two very talented drivers on each side, Gary Jin and Emmanuel Carrillo, and then two of them sponsored new weapons rather than just going with like the lifter and in free shipping's case, lifter and fire. But yeah, so both robots are sitting at a must-win situation here. Free shipping's currently sitting at 1-2 with a solid victory over Gigabyte, but then two losses to Minotaur and Hydra, two very hard opponents for it. And yeah, and then Big Deal on the other hand, I'm not sure if even a win here is going to be enough to make bracket, unfortunately, which is really sad because Big Deal has shown so much potential this season so far with that new vertical spinner. But Big Deal is currently at 0-3 with a disappointing loss to Hijinks, but then two very close losses to Scorpios and Mad Catter. Like, yeah, I still could see Big Deal making bracket even if they do win this fight, but I think if that was to possibly happen, I think they need to not just win this fight, but they need a high quality victory. But yeah, and I'm going Big Deal on this one. So I think both these robots are relatively even when it comes to like driving, ground game, and maneuverability, all that kind of stuff. The reason why I'm going Big Deal on this one is Free Shipping's weapon just hasn't impressed me that much personally. Like, it's nothing against Gary Jin or anything like that, because like I think he's new to the spinner field at least this season, but it just hasn't done a lot at least to impress me so far this season, and that's kind of been my big problem with Free Shipping this season at least. Like, I love the robot regardless. It's put up so many entertaining fights, win or loss, but I think Big Dill has the more effective spinner because that thing that thing has been nasty. Been on like an absolute reign of terror with whoever it's able to connect with so far. Scorpios, Mad Catter, like like hearing Zach and Diane talk on this podcast about how brutal Big Dill's vertical spinner was to take on, like says a lot, especially for a robot like Scorpios, who is one of the more armored who's one of the better armored robots in the entire competition. So yeah, having the more effective spinner is why I'm giving Big Dill the edge on this one. But I think this has potential to be another really good fight. So let's move on to Shredit Bro and Lucky in the fight number 6 slot. These are the last two robots, I believe, out of the top 50 to have their third fight of the season. So, yeah, a picture did come out from Lucky's social media page online about this one. Lucky has a little bit of a special front attachment for this one. Shredit Bro is kind of like the classic design that I think we've seen in their previous two matchups. What Lucky looks like they added is like an end right on the front that's meant to be like better armored, kind of like harder for Shredit Bro to rip off with a drum spinner. I want to say I kind of want to describe it like Tantrum's front attachment from when they fought Minotaur at least. Kind of meant to be like a front fork kind of that's a bit that's a bit better when it comes to taking hits from like spinner attacks like Shredit Bro. I probably explained that very poorly, but you'll see on Thursday. But as for my prediction for this one, I got Lucky winning this one. So yeah, like I think if Shredit Bro was at 100%, I would probably actually lean more in Shredit Bro's favor. But Shredit Bro just hasn't done enough for me this season to be able to pick them to win this fight. Because like so far, basically, Shredit Bro's just been full of gremlins to where I just don't have a lot of confidence in Shredit Bro. Like I hope they prove me wrong, because like in all honesty, I do think Shredit Bro has a lot of potential this season. Because like the drum spinner packs an absolute wallop, just like what we've seen in their first two matchups so far. But then it's just that it hasn't been at 100%. Just it's not that they're not at 100% like start of the match. It's just like they stop parts of the robot stop working after a little bit. Like they start having issues partway into the fight or beginning of the match, maybe depending on what it is. But regardless, though, like the many gremlins that Shredit Bro has had so far is kind of holding them back in my mind. And like I hope we get to see a more improved Shredit Bro, but I gotta go Lucky on this one. Lucky's been on an absolute reign of terror so far with two pretty solid victories over let's see, who were their two victories? Triton and Kraken. And like Matt's done a great job driving Lucky once again this season. He showed a lot of potential last season to be a phenomenal driver because he did do a great driving job. And he's been showcasing that once again this season. And I think we're probably going to see a dominant performance from Lucky. I think Lucky's just going to be landing flip after flip from Shredit Bro until either Bro either gets stuck or we get a judge's decision. So, yep, that's kind of how I see this one going down because Lucky's been a lot more consistent in my opinion when it comes to like lots of these gremlins. But once again, I hope we get to see it a more improved Shredit Bro because as I've already said in this video and I've said in previous videos that Shredit Bro's been involved in, I do think the new Shredit Bro has a lot of potential, but sadly we just haven't seen it so far, and that's why I just can't predict them for this match, unfortunately. Okay, fight number 7. The fight the Battlebots was hyping up in the last episode. Sawblaze and Hydra. And this is the fight I personally am looking most forward to, at least, because I was expecting that ever since we saw Hydra fight for the first time in 2019 and saw it do as well as it did, I was expecting we were going to see Hydra and Sawblaze at some point, and while it was a couple seasons later, we got right now, we got in the next episode. So for this one, I think winning the ground game is going to be very key in this one because Hydra's strategy is almost certainly going to be just avoid getting scooped up because I think Hydra's big vulnerability in this one is if they get scooped up, like Hydra might add some extra armor on top to fend off that hammer saw, but I don't think Hydra is going to be able to last more than a few shots from that hammer saw, unfortunately. Because I don't know how armored Hydra is on top, at least. And then Sawblaze, basically just the exact opposite of what I said. They're probably going to be trying to avoid getting flipped by Hydra, because I think as soon as Hydra gets underneath, like, they're just going to stay on Sawblaze as much as possible, not let them get any breathing room. Or give them the least amount of breathing room possible. So, yeah, and then Sawblaze is going to try to scoop up Hydra, drop the hammer saw, as I said. But, yeah, so my prediction for this one, like, this could seriously go either way, because both these two robots are two absolute, like, legends when it comes to winning the ground game. I don't think that was the right way of putting it, but, like, basically these two robots are two of the best robots when it comes to winning the ground game. And I'm going to lean towards Hydra on this one. Like, I don't doubt Hydra when it comes to getting underneath opponents. Like, I think Hydra's, like, I'm not sure what kind of driving tactics we're going to see right here, but I think I probably consider Jake to be the better driver between the two, but JMO's also a great driver. And, like, I think Jake's probably going to play this one really. I feel like he's going to play this one a little more cautiously than he has in some of his previous few matchups, just because Sawblaze is that dangerous of a robot. But I could see Hydra trying the sit and play strategy and then letting Sawblaze come to them, maybe something like that, like something close to that. And I think if Hydra starts landing flips, like I think he's going to stack up the control points big time. And yeah, you kind of get the idea. So I think between Sawblades landing some shots and Hydra landing a bunch of flips, I gotta lean towards Hydra on this one, but I wouldn't be shocked if Sawblades took this one. So yeah, I think whoever wins the ground game is going to take this one. I'm leaning Hydra on that, as I said already, but we can see Sawblades absolutely pull that off. So this is going to be an awesome fight, and yeah. These are two robots, once again, where I think they're safe to make bracket. I think both robots are definitely in. I think this is just going to be another match where it's just going to be a fight for seeding. Not to mention that Claw Viper and Sawblaze are going to be looking to be one of the first, looking to be the first robots, at least of the televised bunch, to go 4-0 this season. Could we see a robot go 4-0? We'll find out, and we'll find out on Thursday. 8th. So yeah, I think that'll do it for this prediction podcast. So thanks for watching this video. Definitely comment down below what your predictions are for all 7 of these matchups. Always love hearing your predictions, regardless if you agree or disagree with mine. Totally fine either way. So yeah, once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.